Come join me in the wild, since this is where I spend the majority of my time. One of my favorite things to do is fish at high alpine lakes. Fishing at high altitude is an earned pleasure, as hiking there, carrying your gear, takes some sweat equity with no easy guarantees. It is a fitting place to reflect. While I'm there, I always see a reflection every time I drop a line in the water of a bearded man who seems to appear wilder and more ragged each time, like the environment that shapes him. That is where I invite you. Come sit with us. As we sit with no phone reception, no emails, none of the things that make us connected to the civilized world. There's just you and the serene silence of the outdoors. So, what does the man of the wild ask us to consider? What is the cost of civilizing yourself? The wild demands only three basic needs: shelter, water, food. The cost is high if you don't or can't fulfill these basic needs. The civilized world demands the same, but procured in different ways. Working a job will typically cover the three basic needs that you would need in the wild. From a civilized standpoint, this exchange allows for more freedom for other pursuits because there's more time, such as hobbies. Hobbies as we know them today really didn't exist before the more civilized era. From the wild perspective, there is downtime, but downtime is found mostly during the long nights and when the weather is not conducive to be in the elements. When you look at the two ways of life, the wild way and the civilized obviously looks more enticing, more free time, easier in ways. Living in the wild requires very literal work. You must chop wood, you must fish, hunt, forage, and procure drinking water. Nothing comes easy. Ask anyone who's ever tried to just keep up with purifying water for a group. It is a non-stop task. Yet still the wild calls. Let's consider deeper, especially when it comes to connection. Civilized, we are working typically a 9 to 5 and being able to have time off, also known as me time. That off work time may involve areas of responsibility such as grocery shopping, cleaning, laundry, and paying bills. Yet for many, there's a leftover luxury of time. What are we doing with this leftover luxury time? Sometimes it's spent binge watching TV shows, flipping through Instagram, doom scrolling events far away from our sphere of influence. There are ways of spending time with little to no connection to true nature. A substitute, the wild side, there is no 9 to 5. The sun is your timekeeper, sun up to sundown. As he moves through the sky, connection is everything. You must learn the secrets of where the fish will be, where they are eating, how to entice them with possible lures. You learn the way of the wildlife as they walk through the woods. You are connected to their patterns, and it becomes a part of your own. If God smiles upon you and allows for you to catch or kill, how to honor the animal and prepare it so that nothing is wasted. This is just a small example of connection found when we let the real world of the wild. I do not condemn a civilized world. I am also a part of it. However, I do think that there's a cost that we can feel, yet we don't always account for. I believe that the cost of a civilized world is not in the basics. The basics can be provided, but the cost is becoming civilized is found in a deeper sense of connecting the soul with the earth that the Creator gave us. It's a basic connection that the native tribes had with the earth, such as all creatures and plants depend on the earth for food, clothing, shelter, and water. We are bound together as kin, giving one to another. In the wild, there is no place for those who refuse to function as a part of the ecosystem. Those who refuse to contribute and pull their own weight will not survive. If the earth is what God gave to us all, then all the things upon it must learn when to give and when to take. The wild not only teaches the basics of survival, but all the inner attributes that make a great warrior, a beneficial leader, and a person of value. The wild shapes those who choose to connect with it. It forges them with attributes such as discipline, honesty, integrity, loyalty, responsibility, intestinal fortitude, peace, and compassion. This does not say that the civilized world cannot teach these, but they are harder to attain with a more relaxed lifestyle. Such as are the reflections of the wild bearded man in the lake, the word he invites us to consider, he asks us not to abandon the civilized world, but to remember the ways of the wild, to learn them, to walk connected, not by the snapshots or scrolling the virtual version, but by immersing ourselves in the real thing with others who walk the same wild way. When you spend time in the wild away from everything else, everything gets quiet and simple. In this time is when you find yourself. The simplicity is something that cannot be captured by picture or article. It must be experienced. Step out of the civilized, place yourself in the majestic masterpiece that the Native Americans used to call Elohe, whole abundance, one with the wild. Remember, you have this life, one life. Now live legendary, a life others want to become.